All right, hello, greetings. Steele Graybar. I'm one of the 4-H educators here in Elkhart County. Um, did a presentation last night for one of our clubs here and thought I would just do a video recording of it as well. Just talking about 4-H trips that are available here to Elkhart County 4-Hers. So you can see my screen. What I did for this presentation for the club, I just shared pictures that I took as a chaperone on some of these trips over the years. I'll talk about those a little bit, but then I'll also talk about what each of the trips are, where they're located, how much they cost, when they are, when to register, and those kinds of things. I'm going to put this on YouTube. I might turn comments on, so if you want to ask questions, you could write that in the comment area. But first things first, this picture right here actually is one of my favorite. This is from State Junior Leader Conference, maybe 2019, the last time we had it. I think so. This is the last day, actually, as we were getting ready to leave, maybe hours before, or minutes before we left for the week-long trip. So I think it's a good photo. It kind of captures the bonding that takes place and the camaraderie that takes place during that trip. And it's a pretty good idea of what you can expect on a lot of these 4-H trips, I think, is you're going to meet kids from across the state of Indiana that you've not known or met before. You're going to get to know them over the 3, 4, 5 days maybe that you're at this location. And you're going to become friends with a lot of them. And then you're going to end up seeing them at other trips is what actually ends up happening. And it becomes kind of a thing that happens as you get older in 4-H is you go on those trips and see your friends every year. So the first trip that I want to talk about actually is for our 3rd through 6th graders. This is for Michiana 4-H camp. So we camp with St. Joseph County and Marshall County as well. So there's 3 counties. We go up to Sturgis, Michigan at Camp Amigo. I know a lot of our 4-Hers are familiar with that camp. Goshen Schools, I think specifically goes there, maybe 3rd or 4th grade, 5th grade, they do a trip there. But yeah, Sturgis, Michigan, it's probably about 45 minutes away from the fairgrounds here. This is for 3rd through 6th grade. This year, it's from Tuesday, June 7th to Friday, June 10th. Counselors, they're going to be there a day before that, so they'll get there June 6th. So that's a Monday through Friday for them. But for campers, it's Tuesday to Friday. This costs $60 to attend for Elkhart 4-Hers. And you can do that by going into 4-H Online. So v2.4honline.com, and you'll go to events and you'll sign up for Michiana 4-H camp there and be able to pay and pick your t-shirt size and everything. If you look at these pictures here, I learned the other night that Gaga ball there on the right is pretty popular. There's a pretty nice Gaga ball pit at Camp Amigo. Always some action going on there. And then to the left is the group photo. That's all Elkhart 4-Hers. That's our whole contingent that we brought several years ago at the deck area at Camp Amigo as well. So as far as things to do, there's a night hike that is pretty popular that we do. We have archery class, a canoeing class. There's orienteering, which is basically how to not get lost, especially in the woods. I'll be teaching a disc golf class because there's a disc golf course there. There's a lot of trails that kids hike in groups. The food is great. I know we have a dance one night. We're doing like a scavenger hunt. There's a couple other big games. The theme this year is like outer space meets Wild West, like a cowboy outer space aliens thing. Forget what the actual slogan is. It's out of this world, y'all, or something, as what the counselors have put together. So excited to see what plans they have for the theme. But yeah, we have water games as well. So we actually will not have a swimming area. There's the swimming area at Camp Amigo is a bit too far away. We don't have a way of really getting there. So what we do instead is we'll have like a slip and slide and water balloons and buckets of water and sponges. We'll have water games instead. But this is still something you can sign up for. The registration for this is due May 1st. So that's coming up real soon. That's the first deadline, but I'd really like to have everybody in because we need to start ordering supplies soon after. But if you want to, again, grades 3 through 6, 4-H online by May 1st is how you register for Michiana 4-H camp. And we have, I think, about 25 kids from Elkhart signed up already. And we usually get close to 30, 35. I'm hoping for 50 though. I'd like to see 50. The next trip I'm going to talk about is a relatively new one. It just took place in February and March. Actually, we had a trip to the State House, the Indianapolis state capitol. And we actually had to split it into 2 days because we had so many 4-Hers from across the state that were interested in going. So we had one half go on March 1st, the other half go on February 1st. And what we do there is in the morning, we check in and we actually get to meet and greet and ask questions from several state representatives. I think we had 4 speak to us and then took questions soon after. We took a group photo right after that, so you can see a couple of the state representatives there in the front with our group that day. I should mention too, Elkhart, when we go, we actually go the night before and stay at the state fairgrounds, just because it's a long trip to try to do all in one day. So the night before, we actually did some programming as well, where we learned about how to talk to your state representatives, talked about some of the bills that might be in legislation right now that they might hear about while they're sitting in the gallery, and just did some things like that, as well as had snacks and played games. But and then we travel the next morning. But while we're at the State House, there's a State House tour that they go on. They get to go to the state rep, their actual state rep's office, and get to meet them there and talk to them in their office. They got to sit in the gallery of the Senate and the House as well. And while we were there this like February, March, I know that there was stuff going on with the education bill being discussed. So the kids got to see that from the gallery seats and hear the state representatives that they met just moments earlier talk about these bills and these things on the floor of the different chambers. So I thought that was very cool. We eat lunch at the mall next door. We walk over to Circle Center Mall. And then there's an opportunity for some photos at the Circle Center Monument area as well. So a very good day. I know one of the days we got to meet the governor and go in his office. Another day we were not so lucky. It just kind of depends what the schedule is like. So you just never know how things are going to kind of work out that day. But all in all, both trips were great, and we'll probably do it again in February and March of 2023. I don't have any more details on that right now. 4-H Roundup and Academy. So if you're a 7th, 8th, 9th grader, 4-H Roundup is probably something you want to pay attention to. For Roundup, that is going to be Monday, June 20th to Wednesday, June 22nd this year. There's going to be registration's actually due June 1st, so you got a little bit of time. And what you'll do at that point is you're going to pick some subjects that you're interested in, and you're going to have the opportunity to meet several like Purdue faculty or teaching assistants and take some classes with them there on campus at Purdue. I don't know if I mentioned that yet. This is at Purdue. The picture on the left that you see here is actually us at like an assembly session. So throughout the day, we'll have guest speakers talk to us. I know they do performing arts acts from across the state will perform for us. The state 4-H band and the state 4-H course will perform as well. We do a tour of Purdue. There's like a cookout in the green space out there in one of the lawns. We stay in the dorms, we eat dorm food, we go to the bookstore. Like I said, I think, if you just want to experience a Big Ten college campus, and this is a lot of times the first time for a lot of these kids to do that, it's a great trip. Now you can see from that photo, there's several hundred kids that go from across the state. So again, this would be where you would start to meet maybe some of the kids you camp with or went to camp with. You go down to Purdue and you hang out with them, and then you make more friends that also camped in other areas of the state, and you guys get to meet each other and become friends, with 4-Hers from across the state of Indiana, and learn about some subjects that you might all have in common or like. So if you want to sign up for Roundup, again, that's grades 7th, 8th, and 9th. And I would actually just get a hold of me, email me, or call our office and let us know if you want to go. I'll be the educator that goes down there those 3 days. I'm actually the area 10, the area that we're in. I'm the head of that area. So I'll be coordinating things for all of us from all the counties nearby. But please just let me know if you want to go. And then for Academy, that's the bit older group. Okay, so where Roundup was for 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, Academy is for 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And I think it's similar in that you pick some classes that you want to attend and go to, but I would argue that these classes are much more specific and much more hands-on, learn by doing types of classes. So the pictures on the right that you see, I think, are examples of that. When I went to this as a 4-H'er, I went to an aviation class, and I don't know if they still do this because I haven't had a chance to chaperone it. But we actually got into an airplane and took off from the airport. And like mid-flight, the teacher, who I believe is a professor at Purdue, would switch over controls to you, and you'd be able to fly that airplane briefly. I think he just has to hit a button and switch it back over. But you would actually be flying the plane in the air for a moment in time. And I thought that was one of the coolest things. I think nowadays it might be a little bit different, but I think there's a lot more now too with like drone technology that didn't exist back then too. So you can do some of the same teaching and learning a little bit with your feet on the ground. Also at the bottom right there, I believe there's like a CMT class that was offered one year, and you get to work with maybe nursing students at Purdue and some of the dummies there that they have in their hospital that they have set up, and learn some of the skills there as well. And I know the one other class I'll throw in, I think it was something to do with water conservation and insects and things like that, that you would take water samples or bug samples and you would go to a lab and look at those under a microscope and talk about what you were seeing under that microscope. But obviously, like my favorite part was the first part, right? You actually walked out to like a swamp and put on the mud boots and took the water sample yourself and then brought it back. Very hands-on, like I mentioned. Both these trips, I think, are excellent learning opportunities. There's a YouTube link here at the top. I'm not going to play that. If you are interested in learning more about any of these trips, I should mention, just Google or whatever search engine you prefer, type in Indiana 4-H and hit enter. And then on that page, there's going to be a tab that says get involved with like a down arrow. You click that, and then you'll see a link for state opportunities or state programs. I can't remember the exact language, state something. You click that. All these trips are going to be there with links, and there's going to be even more than the ones that are in the slideshow. But what I learned last night when I was talking to a club was that a lot of kids had no idea that any of these trips existed or that they took place. So that's part of the reason I'm putting this video out, is just try to get the word out that there is, and we sent out these postcards, by the way. Again, there's 10 or 12 different trips on this postcard, and that's not even all of them. There's just there's a ton of trips. And what I would like to see is, and in my own 4-H experience, it was this way, is like a culture of going on 4-H trips every summer. I know we're very busy during the school year, but once school is out, for me, when I was a 4-H'er, as soon as school ended, I was pretty much gone every week on a 4-H trip. And I think that opportunity still exists if that's something you want. And I think if you go on one, you're going to want to go on more. That's usually what happens. So start with 4-H camp if you're young, but as you get older, there's even more opportunities to go on trips for several weeks in the summer. I mentioned this earlier, that there is a 4-H band and course. For 4-H band, that is Saturday, June 18th to Monday, June 20th. That's at Purdue as well. This is for grades 9 through 12. So that's something you want to consider. They do perform Monday night of Roundup, and that's a public performance, so families could come watch. And yeah, I think that's a tremendous opportunity. We have 2 kids from Elkhart going this year. That's something I've seen more interested in. And as I explained to the club last night as well, that Elkhart County does have a pretty strong legacy in band specifically. So I think that there's a lot of kids out there that if they knew about this would want to be a part of it. And I fully support you. Just get a hold of me and let me know, and we'll get you signed up. Also, state chorus as well on the right. State chorus is Saturday, June 18th to June 21st. Overlaps a lot with band. I think they hang out with the band kids quite a bit. This is also grades 9 through 12. They perform Tuesday of Roundup. So that's, again, a public show as well. Both of those deadlines, band and course, those are actually coming up too. Those are May 1st deadlines as well. So if this is something you want to do, you need to decide soon and get that registration turned in through 4-H Online. The next trip I'll talk about is State Junior Leader Conference. Again, there's a link for a video. I'm not going to play that, but again, that's on that website on Indiana 4-H state page that I mentioned. On the left here, you can see this is a group of delegates from Elkhart County from, I don't know, that's a long time ago now. That's probably 6 or 7 years ago. That's us arriving, you know, as we would. We had just gotten to State Junior Leader Conference. And then on the right here it's at the University of Indianapolis. And if you've ever been there, there's a canal that runs right through the center of campus. And the state junior leaders decided they wanted to build boats and try to sink each other's boats in this canal. And that's exactly what they did. And that's exactly what you see happening right there. They're separated into like different groups, and they were competing to see who was the last boat standing. It was pretty intense, and it was one of the most fun things I've seen. That's just an example of the types of activities that take place during this week. Now, it being State Junior Leader Conference, they are teaching and instilling a lot of leadership skills and leadership development. I know we do community service projects. I know we have classes taught by the council that range from public speaking to social media security to how to be a better leader in your club, or, you know, just on and on and on. Lots of skills that 4-Hers are teaching other 4-Hers, which is, you know, the pinnacle of youth development. Beyond that, though, there's a dance, there's a bunch of energizers, get to know you activities. We eat excellent food. It's just a really good week. They do a lot of like Vesper type activities at night. We have a council that's elected by its peers to come back and lead the trip the following year. Elkhart this year has 2 4-Hers, one who aged out last year and one who's a senior this year, that are on the council. So yeah, I highly suggest this. If you're a junior leader in Elkhart County, this is free for you to attend. The trip is Tuesday, June 14th to Friday, June 17th. And it's actually at DePauw University in Greencastle. This will be the first year we're there. It's a different campus than normal. It used to be there when I attended this trip as a sophomore in 2001. That's where it was. So it's been at DePauw before, but we haven't been there in a number of years. This is for grades 9 through 12. If you would like to go, again, just reach out to me, email me. I need to know by May 15th if you want to go. If you are not a junior leader, you can certainly attend. You would have to pay the full cost, which I do believe is about $190, or you could sign up for junior leaders. And I could connect you with the leader there and make sure everything's all situated, and you would be able to go to this for free. Those are some options for you. If you're a 4-Her listening to this and you maybe want to use Twitter or Instagram, I'm not sure what this is, but if you go at 4HSJLC, you can probably find some pictures from previous years of groups that have went. So next couple trips I'll mention that not a lot of folks know about is state fair related events. So something that we've had several kids from Elkhart go to before, and I think it is a tremendous opportunity. It's not necessarily a trip, but it is an opportunity, is being a state fair exhibit hall worker. So from the end of July to about the end of August, you have an opportunity to work for minimum wage at the state fair in the 4-H exhibit building. The first couple of weeks pretty much require cleaning things up and bringing up like all the equipment needed and getting everything ready to check in projects, kind of like what we do here in the exhibit building. Then maybe the second week, third week, you're checking in 4-H projects. all from across the state. And then the remainder of the trip or the experience, you're guarding the building during fair, kind of just walking up and down the halls, making sure nobody's breaking anything, answering questions, etc., all while living at the state fair. So you actually live right there on the state fairgrounds that entire month. That's all included. And then you're making money on top of that, and you're working with kids your age. For this, I believe it's 14 and up is the age requirements. I share with people that all the time that my first job ever was working as a state fair exhibit hall worker. And the reason I remember that is because I remember handing my social security number to Carl Brody at the time. Some people listening to this might know who that is. I think he was an educator, but he was running the state fair exhibit hall at the time, handing it to him and starting working at 14 years old for a month at the state fair. So it's very cool because, like I said, you're not working the whole time. And when you're not working, you're at the state fair. So there's always things to do. There's always concerts or food to eat or buildings to go visit. So it's a really good experience. I know in Elkhart, the challenge is the end of July is when it starts. And there's clearly something else going on the end of July here in Elkhart County, and that's our fair. So that can be a conflict. I do believe if that is a major conflict, that we can work around that. We've had kids from our county go before. Sometimes they go near the end of our fair. Maybe they go that second weekend, they go down to the state fair instead and start working. So it can be done. If you want to do that, applications are due May 1st. That's coming up very soon as well. But just again, let me know even after May 1st if that's something you want to do, and I'll try to get you in that building and be able to help out. The other trip is State Fair Achievement Trip. This is something I was able to chaperone for the first time this fall. I believe if you are a 7th through 12th grader who has a project at the state fair, you get invited to this trip. This is a trip to Chicago, and that's what the pictures you see here are. That's why there's deep dish pizza from Gino's East on the right, because as soon as we start at Purdue, we take a bus all the way up to Chicago to our hotel, we check in, and then we go to Gino's East to eat pizza the very first night in Chicago. The rest of the trip is really just kind of a tourist trip of Chicago. So we took a boat cruise through the city. That's what you see on the left there. Go to the top of the Hancock building, and I don't know what that thing is called, but where you lean over, it has like a room that leans over so you can see all the way down at the top of the Hancock building. Trying to think, we toured museums, we toured the zoo, we did an escape room. There was all kinds of different activities going, and you're going with other 7th through 12th graders from across the state who had state fair projects, and it's all paid for by the Indiana State Fair Board. That's entirely free. I'm trying to think if there's not a date attached to this one. You'll get invited, and if you are invited, you should go, because I think it's a very good opportunity for just a weekend. It's just a weekend in like October, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's it. I believe this is the last trip I'm going to talk about. This is Citizenship Washington Focus. This is Saturday, June 25th to Friday, July 1st. It's a little bit later or a little bit earlier than it used to be. We used to go over the 4th of July. Sometimes it is over the 4th of July. It just depends what week we get. But this is for grades 9 through 12. And this is for the whole state of Indiana. We go as a delegation. Registration for this actually ended March 15th. I've not received word if that was extended at all or not. But that's coming up pretty soon. June 25th isn't that far away. But this is a week-long trip to Washington. When I chaperoned it, that's the picture on the right. We took a charter bus through the night from Purdue all the way to Washington, D.C., checked out the Smithsonian, went to the 4-H headquarters, toured the Capitol. We're not the only state that's there either. So there's usually probably another dozen states that are there that same week. Not all 50 states are there, but another dozen that bring their delegation. So there's several hundred kids there. And you interact with them throughout the week. And there's assemblies and things like that you get to go to. But really, what I remember about this trip the most is again, you get to meet your national reps, and that's what we were doing on that picture on the right there. We wore our green shirts and went to the state capitol and got to meet our national reps in their offices. But then also there's a lot of different monuments and destinations to go check out as well. And that's the Vietnam War Memorial on the left. That's just one of many things that we went and toured while we were there. Another favorite of the group is we pretty much take that once we get to Washington, D.C., we don't take the charter bus anymore. We take the metro everywhere. That's the subway. So a lot of kids from Indiana, that's the first time taking an underground train anywhere. And what's always interesting is the first day is always the scariest, but then by the end of the week, you guys are pros. Like everybody, it's not a super hard thing to learn, but it's kind of cool to see how uncomfortable somebody is the first time they're on a train to the end of the week when they're just kind of wanting to go do it themselves. So yeah, it's a trip I would highly recommend. The issue with this one has always been that it is quite pricey, but I am happy to say that we have money set aside here in the county by several community stakeholders that think this is a very important trip, that would like to see kids go. We don't always have kids apply to go, but we have enough money to pay and subsidize most of the costs for 2 from Elkhart kids to go. So if that's something you want and you think would be interesting, again, you just need to let me know, but the date for this year is already passed. So this would be something you want to consider next year. Again, for grades 9 through 12, one of the best trips, maybe the best trip that you can take as a 4-H'er, in my opinion. So that's, I think, all of the trips that I have to talk about on this video. Just one last picture from the state fair. This is from ISFLIC. It's a trip that used to take place. It's no longer around, but this was a group of 4-H'ers that alongside the exhibit hall workers were also there at the state fair for the first week of state fair. And we got to meet, he was not governor at the time, but Attorney General, I believe, Holcomb, while we were there, and took a photo with him. So that's the trips that I wanted to talk about today. If you have any questions about any of the ones I talked about, go ahead and leave a comment, and I'll try to answer it. Or you can call our office. Our phone number here is 574-533-0554. Or you can email me at sgreybar, that's sgreybar @purdue.edu, and ask me about any of the trips as well. I hope you check them out. I'd like to see Elkhart have many kids go on all of these trips, and you know, just get a hold of me. I appreciate it. Thanks.